Good morning, students. In this video we are going to discuss about the topic called functional and the non-functional requirements. So whenever we are creating a software, this is the main requirements by the software application. In the SDLC model we have a different stages will be available. Requirement analysis, design, implementation, coding, testing, deployment. And this first we are going to discuss about the requirement. In this requirement we have a two different types will be available. The first one will be the functional requirements and the second one will be the non-functional requirement. In the functional requirement it is defined as the aspects, or the functional requirements will be categorized as the functionality of the software. The within the function or the within the software or outside the software, the functionality will be called as the functional requirement. Say for example, if you are creating a web page with the option called search me, the search option will be used to searching. The user should be able to mail any report, or take a printout. Then user can save that particular file or open that particular file. These are the some of the functional requirements examples. If you are creating a software or creating a web page or a login registration, you have to give the all the mandatory fields, just like the name, register number, student age and the student's roll number and that cutoff mark. Everything will be under the functional requirement. If you are clicking the finally the save button or the update button, the all the data will be should be stored in a database. That is the functional requirement specification. In the second case we are having the non-functional requirement. It is not related to the functionality of the software. It will only focuses on the characteristics of the software, which is the security of the software, logging system, storage and the configuration, performance of the system, the cost of the software, the interoperability, flexibility and the disaster recovery and accessibility. These are all the non-functional requirement. So now we are going to see the what are the difference between functional and the non-functional requirement. In this functional requirement, which is used to understand the functionality of the system. It is in the case of non-functional, it is used to understand the system performance. First, in the case of functional requirement, it all should be mandatory one, but in the case of non-functional, it is a optional one. So it is easy to do when the functional requirements are easy to define, but in the case of non-functional, it is hard to define. What are the non-functional requirements will be hard to define. In the functional requirement, it will describe only the what is the product will do perform, or the what is the product do the work. But in the non-functional requirement, it will design the working of the product. There are two steps will be available. First one will be the working software and the second will be software working. So these are the main two difference between the functional and the non-functional requirement. It will helps to verify the software functionality. It's in the case of functional requirement, it is used to verify the software functionality, but in the case of non-functional requirement, it will only concentrate on the system performance. It will only concentrate on the system performance. In the functional requirements are defined by the user. But in the case of non-functional, it is defined by the different variety of people, just like the developers, architectures and the technical person may be define the non-functional requirements of the software. This is called the functional and the non-functional requirement. In the functional requirement includes the different kinds of the testing, system testing, integration testing, unit testing. These are all the functional requirement. But in the case of non-functional requirement, it will define the usability of the software, performance of the software, security of the software. Examples of the functional requirements will be defined by the an authentication of the user try to log in into the system. But in the case of non-functional, it will define the background color of the picture, right? So these are all the main difference between the functional and the non-functional requirement, right? Next we are going to discuss about the user interface requirement, right? This is the main and important requirement in the software life cycle, right? UI is the very important part, which is the user interface is the very important part. It may be the hardware or it may be the software, or it may be contained both the hardware as well as the software, right? First, the user interface easy to operate. It will be quickly responsible one. The effective handling of the operational error. It will provide the simple and consistent user interface, right? So this is called as the user requirement interface, right? These are all the some of the user interface requirement, which is the content presentation, simple interface, easy navigation, quickly responsive one, and the consistent UI element. These are all the some of the user interface requirement. Based on the user, we can change the requirement, right? It will provide the different kinds of the and the different variety of the options to the user, right? So the next we are going to discuss about the requirement management process. In the requirement management, we have a different stages will be available. First, we are going to identify the problem or recognize the problem. Second, we are going to evaluate the system, right? Then we are going to develop the model. Then based on the model, we are going to define the specification. After specification, we are going to review the product, right? So this is the stages or the methods we are going to follow, right? Then next we are going to, this is the requirement change management process. In the requirement change management, whenever we are delivering the product to the user, the customer will give the some of the feedback. Rapid change will be applicable one. So that for that rapid change, we have to identify the particular problem. Based on the problem identification, we have to change the specification. Then we have to analyze the or estimate the cost of the process, and then we are going to change the implementation. This is the main graphical representation of the requirement change management process, right? So this is the requirement validation. In this validation, we are going to test the product. The work product will be worked correctly. That is called as the requirement validation. The main objective will be the, it will ensure the SRS document reflected in this particular validation, right? The document specifications will be applied to the particular software, right? That is called as the validation, which means the SRS documentation content should be available in this product. That is called as the requirement validation. Then next one will be the requirement verification. In this verification, we are going to verify that particular product will be working correctly or not. If it is working correctly, means it is fine, otherwise it is not fine, right? So the next we are having the objective of the software design process, right? These are all the 6 objectives which is available: the correctness, completeness, efficiency, flexibility, consistency, and the maintenance, right? These are the main objective of the design process. The correctness, which will define the software should be correct as per the requirement, not only the correct one, and it should be complete one, right? Everything will be in a complete one. The product will be efficiently working, right? If it is slowly working or not working, means it is not valid one, right? Then flexibility, it is easy to modify the changes. The consistency, all the data should be relevant to the all the module, not only to the consistency, also it should be maintainable one. So this is the main objective of the software design process. Thank you guys.